Hello everybody and welcome to the webinar. My name is Gina Hayden. I'm VP of Operations and Events for Life Success Productions. We know that you are very busy and we're really grateful that you've taken time to join us today. I have been with the company and Bob Proctor for going on 27 years now and have been working with Bob on all different kinds of things and have seen him travel worldwide, and it doesn't matter where he goes, who he speaks to, companies, big, small, individuals, one thing has remained a constant over the years. He helps people get results. There isn't anybody in the industry who does it better or who does it like him. You're in for a real treat today. We have Bob Proctor on the line, and I'm going to get started right away. And Bob, take it away.
Thank you, Gina. And I think everybody should know that I have been very fortunate to have Gina working with me for all the years she has. Gina really makes sure that I get to where I'm supposed to be going. She looks after all the events and the plane tickets and the hotels and the people that are supposed to be meeting me wherever I'm going, and she does a great job. And you know, that's an old saying here, tell me what you want and I'll show you how to get it. And I picked that up from Earl Nightingale. I remember years ago putting on the Strangest Secret record. Now I'm going way back to the early 60s, the very early 60s, 61. And I heard on that record, he said, if you can tell me what you want, I can show you how to get it. And I remember thinking, boy, if this guy knows what he's talking about, I've really got a hold of something. Well, I was earning $4,000 a year at that time, and I have earned literally millions of dollars since then. He did know what he was talking about. And I ended up working with Earl for 5 years. I went on and built a very successful business prior to going to work with him. And after being in business for a while and studying Earl's material and studying other material, I decided this was really the field that was meant for me. I was destined to be in this business because I experienced a tremendous change and I wanted to share it and I wanted to help everybody else do the same thing. You see, I have come to the conclusion that we all have big ideas. Ideas fly into our mind. You're never going to stop ideas flying into your mind. If you just look at the headlines on a rag tabloid, boom, an idea hits you in the brain. Our mind is always going. There's ideas flying across our mind all the time. And you know, great ideas. Some of us have absolutely phenomenal ideas. I think the problem is we don't have sufficient awareness of who we are and the mental faculties that we're working with because we don't always act on our big idea. Now I want you to think, what is your big idea? And just think of what I'm saying for a moment. If you could go out and do anything you wanted to do, what would you do? What would you do? Now think. You had all the resources you needed. See, you've already got a big idea. And here's what I want to ask you. Have you gotten it started? Have you started on it? Have you moved on it? I remember talking to Gail Liniger one time. I was speaking for RE/MAX Real Estate at their international convention. I've been fortunate enough to ask a couple of times to do that. And Dave and Gail Liniger started RE/MAX Real Estate, the largest real estate company in the world today. But at that time, it sure wasn't. They were changing the paradigm. They were changing the entire real estate industry. But their company was huge when I was working with them. And I asked Gail Liniger, I said, did you ever think it would grow this big? She said, I never thought it would take this long. And I thought, what a great answer. Well, have you got your idea going? Or are you, like most of us, are you stuck? Do you get stuck with your idea? You see, I want you to stop and think for a moment. Some of those phenomenal ideas that flow into your mind, if you took those and you were able to execute them, how would your life change? How would it change? What would you do different? Where would you live? What kind of a house would you live in? What would you drive? Who would you be working with? Where would you go on vacations? You know, think about it for a moment. Because you see, you have the ability to do that. Think of this for a moment. All the little creatures on the planet are completely at home in their environment. They blend in. Think about it for a moment. They blend in with the environment. They're totally comfortable in their environment. Do you know that you and I, the human, we're the only creature on the planet that's totally disoriented in our environment? And that's because we have been given the phenomenal mental faculties to create our own environment. That's right. We can. How do you think your life would change with one big idea? Just one big idea. What would happen? Well, I'm going to tell you something. I got involved with the big idea a number of years ago. I had a man sit down with me, and he explained to me something that Buckminster Fuller is the author of. He said, Bob, you never change things by fighting existing reality. To change something, you have to build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. Now, Ray Stanford was the man that told me. He didn't actually say that, and he didn't quote Buckminster Fuller. But that's the essence of what he said. He said, Bob, you're struggling. You're going about it the wrong way. He said, have you ever asked yourself why? You see people around that have things happening, and they're happening without too much trouble. He said, why don't you change what you're doing? Years later, I come across this by Buckminster Fuller. He's the man that built the geodesic dome, the architect. He was asked one time when he educates new architects, he said, what's the first thing you do with them? He said, the first thing I do is de-educate them. I get away from the structured thinking that's in their mind. Do you know what the opposite of routine is? Creativity. Well, that's what Buckminster Fuller got into. Now think of this for a moment. If you're fighting existing reality, why don't you stop? Why don't you build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete? In a second, I'm going to be sharing a new model with you. But before I get into that, let's look at this for a moment. There are two things that you must know if you want to create great wealth. You have to know where you are, and, of course, you have to know where you're going. Now, that's so simple, and it's so obvious. Why are so many people stuck? You've got to ask yourself that. Some people say, well, it's because they don't have a goal. They may not have a goal, but I think they have a big idea that keeps floating in and out of their consciousness. The problem is they think they're not able to execute it. See, the problem really lies here, where we are. We're stuck. There's paradigms. Paradigms are a multitude of habits that control our life, literally control our vibration, control our behavior, and control what we attract. Now, I have made a pretty thorough study of paradigms, and I will talk about it a little more, but paradigm is a subject that should be taught one of the first subjects in school. When you start teaching the little kids how to pile blocks one on top of the other to build a little make-believe house. Well, we should be teaching them what paradigms is from that point. See, you can teach a child to read before they can talk. A lot of people don't believe that, so they, of course, wouldn't do it, but it's being done. And we're taught a lot of wrong information. And we've got these paradigms in our mind. They're controlling our life. And it's not much fun. Now look at this for a moment. The thought would run into our life, into our mind, can I change my paradigm? And the answer is an emphatic yes, you can. Now, if you really understood the power of paradigms, then you would understand just how big that idea is that yes, you can change your paradigm. And when you do, I'll tell you something, you have hope. I can remember when I didn't have any hope. There's a lot of people that haven't got any hope. They feel stuck, and they just don't feel they can get anywhere. It's like the Russian poet. He said, I can't go ahead, and I can't go back, and I can't stay where I am. That's what happens when a person has no hope. But you see, when you have hope, you have options. That is so nice. With hope, you have options. That's right. Cha-cha-cha. You can do the thing you want to do. You can go where you want to go. Now, here's something that I read a long time ago I want to share with you. Ka-ching, ka-ching. Yeah. The big money. I want you to sit back and relax for a moment and listen to this. I was talking to a man this morning in Austria, and he thought $18,000 was a lot of money. We were talking to him about, and I said, that is not a lot of money. I said, it isn't a little bit, and it's not a big bit. It's just money. Now, if we're going to talk about big money, let's get up into the millions, because we're quite capable of doing it. Listen to what Napoleon Hill said about money. He said, when money comes in quantities known as the big money, it flows to the one who accumulates it as easily as water flows downhill. Now, he said, there exists a great unseen stream of power, which may be compared to a river, except that one side flows in one direction, carrying all who get into that side of the stream onward and upward to wealth, and the other side flows in the opposite direction, carrying all who are unfortunate enough to get into it and not able to extricate themselves from it, downward to misery and poverty. Now, he said, every person who has accumulated a great fortune has recognized the existence of this stream of life. It consists of one's thinking process. The positive emotions of thought form the side of the stream which carries one to fortune. The negative emotions form the side which carries one down to poverty. Now, he said, this carries a thought of stupendous importance to the person who is following this with the object of acquiring a great fortune. He said, if you're in the side of the stream of power, which leads to poverty, this may serve as an oar, which may propel you over to the other side of the stream. It can serve you only through application and use. Merely reading and passing judgment upon it, either one way or another, will in no way benefit you. Poverty and riches often change places. Poverty may, and generally does, voluntarily take the place of riches. When riches take the place of poverty, the change is usually brought about through well-conceived and carefully executed plans. Poverty needs no plan. It needs no one to aid it, because it is bold and ruthless. Riches are shy and timid. They have to be attracted. What a beautiful concept. Let's think about making a big change. See, when you change your paradigm, you become connected to an entirely different world, and you'll love it. You see, we can make a jump, a quantum leap, just like that goldfish is doing. And when we do, our life changes. You see, Hill said, when riches begin to come, they come so quickly in such great abundance that one wonders where they've been hiding through all those lean years. Now, you know, when I first read that, I thought, well, that's kind of cute. It's a nice line. But I lived long enough to experience it. Ray Stanford sat down, he put an R on a sheet of paper, and he put two H's and a W down beside it. And he said, Bob, let that represent happiness, health, and wealth. And he asked me if I thought he was a happy guy. And I said, yeah, he seemed pretty happy to me. He said, have you ever seen me sick? And I had to admit I hadn't. He said, have you ever seen me when I was broke? And I hadn't. I was always broke. You see? I was earning $4,000 a year at the time, and I owed $6,000. And then Ray introduced me to this book. And that's when my life really began to change. Now, do you know, I have never stopped reading that book. I've been reading it since October the 21st, 1961. But in the first year, my income went to $175,000. Now, just back that up. From earning $4,000 and owing $6,000, I was earning $175,000. And before I could turn around, I had it over $1 million. What was Hill's quote? He said, when money starts coming, it'll come so fast and furious you'll wonder where it was hiding through all those lean years. Now, I wasn't satisfied with the fact my life had changed. Oh, I enjoyed it. I mean, I did get a better car, and I did move into another house. And I liked clothes, so I bought some clothes. But I kept working because I loved what I was doing. And what really fascinated me was the fact that I did change. You see, I had no formal education. I had a couple of months high school. I had no business experience. And I set a goal of having an extra $25,000. I didn't even know anyone with that kind of money. And I did anything honest to earn it. I started to clean floors. I cleaned one office. Then I got another office to clean. I was earning $30 a month from the one and $65 a month from the other. So I was picking up an extra $100. Now, you see, I was only earning $400 a month, so that was a big raise. But you know, in less than 5 years, I was cleaning floors in Toronto, Montreal, Boston, Cleveland, Atlanta, London, England, doing millions of dollars volume a year. And I took a look at it, and I was reflecting, and I thought, what the heck happened? A lot of people were cleaning floors, but they weren't doing what I was doing. A lot of people had read this book, but they weren't doing what I was doing. I said, something's going on here that I don't understand. And so I made up my mind I was going to figure out why I changed. And that set me on a new journey. I eventually left my company, and I moved to Chicago, and I went to work with Earl Nightingale. I had been studying him for a long time. Napoleon Hill, who wrote this book, passed on his information to Earl Nightingale. And so I thought, I'm going to go to Earl and I'm going to get it straight from the man. And I spent 5 years working with him. You see, I had been raised to believe if you're going to earn a lot of money, you've got to be really smart. Well, I knew I wasn't very smart, but I was earning a lot of money. I was raised to believe if you're going to build a business or do well in business, you have to have a good formal education. I didn't have any formal education. I had a couple of months high school. And so I thought, I'm going to figure it out. It took me 9 years, and I was studying. I would go anywhere to learn. If somebody told me there was somebody I should meet, I'd go there and I'd meet him. And I finally got the dots to connect. And when I did, all I wanted to do was teach it. See, it's all locked up in our mind. That's really where it's at. One day I was flying along, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, and I thought, I've been teaching this all over the world now for 45 years. And everywhere I go, people, they want a little more of my time. And I thought, if I could spend 6 days with someone, I believe I could show them how to really execute their ideas. And if they haven't got an idea, I could show them how to originate ideas, because I'd show them how to mastermind and brainstorm. And the idea of matrix come up. The word matrix is derived from like birthplace, where you give birth to ideas. The extra X represents the paradigm, the unknown factor that's controlling our life. And so I decided I was going to put on a program, and I would do it with a smaller group of people. I was used to dealing with thousands, up to 20,000 at the time. But I was going to do it with a small group of people, and we would have no more than 50. We would spend an entire week together, and I would bring in all the people on my team that work with me, and we would work with you. Now, if that sounds interesting to you, you want to listen to what I'm going to show you, because you would get exposed to some phenomenal information. 6 days. 6 days. Good idea. Matrix was a great idea. I see people changing their life in Matrix. In fact, I'll get a young guy to drop in to this next Matrix. I just think it's Steve Young. He lives in Toronto. Man, that guy's life has changed like night and day. Multi-millionaire. Now look at that book carries more truth, more powerful information. But here's one point that he brings out. You need specialized knowledge if you're really going to make it happen. He said, before you can be sure of your ability to transmute desire into its monetary equivalent, you will require specialized knowledge. Now, when I first read that, I thought I'm sunk because I didn't have any specialized knowledge. But then I noticed down here on the page, and I thought, ha-ha, the accumulation of great fortunes calls for power. And power is acquired through highly organized and intelligently directed specialized knowledge. But that knowledge does not necessarily have to be in the possession of the person who accumulates the fortune. Now that's stuck in my mind. It really stuck in my mind. And I realized that I built the company that I built because I had the right help. I remember a man named Rod Smith. He came to me. Walter Castles was my lawyer. Someone sent me to him. He was just a giant in one of Toronto's largest law firms. And he said, Bob, you need somebody to guide you. And he put me in touch with Rod Smith. Rod Smith was an accountant, a very creative guy. And then he put me in touch with Bill Sago. Now, these names are just coming back to my mind, a marketing guy. And here was where I started to form a team of people who had the specialized knowledge. I believe what Carnegie said. This was Carnegie's idea. He gave it to him. You don't need it. And you know something? That was when my life started to change. You can obtain the specialized knowledge you require from Matrix experts. Save yourself years of time-consuming study and hardship. You see, in Matrix, I not only have my team, I have the specialists that I work with. We invite them in. They come in on their own nickel. I don't pay them. I don't even pay their way. But these are people, they're independent business people that I work with, that my company hires. And I thought, we're going to take the best and we're going to bring them in. And then they make a presentation to you of what they do. That's part of the 6 days. A short presentation, they'll tell you, this is how I help Bob, this is how I help Life Success Productions. And then if you want to make an appointment and sit down with them, you can. And if you want to hire them to work with you, you can do that. I don't get any part of what you pay them. This is a real just sharing with you what we do. And that's what the whole week is about. And you know something? That's the starting point. That was my starting point. That'll be yours. And you will see that your consciousness and your mind will just keep expanding and expanding and expanding. There is no end to what you're capable of doing. You may not even be able to visualize what I'm talking about, but I'll tell you, if you come, I'll show you how to do it. If you will do exactly what I tell you, you will earn millions of hours because everybody can. Everybody. There are no exceptions. You see, there's all kinds of multimillionaires who are functionally illiterate. They can neither read nor write. There's other people who are absolutely brilliant and they're broke. Why? They're not operating with the right information. You see, out of the secret comes the answer. It's your spiritual DNA. Understand this. Your spiritual DNA is perfect. It requires no modification or improvement. There is perfection within you. Every religion teaches that. Everyone. Everyone. All science clearly indicate that there's something phenomenal in you. There's perfection in you. This power within is all-knowing. All the knowledge there ever was or ever will be is locked up within you. It's all powerful. All the power. You don't get energy, you release it. Desire is the triggering mechanism to release energy. You come in with an idea, and if you don't, we'll get you one. We'll help you build one. And you get so wound up on that idea, you will have all kinds of juice. I'll be 79 my next birthday. I could wear most 20-year-olds out because I know how to release the power. You don't get it, you release it. All this power, all this knowledge is ever present. Everything you need is locked up within you. What we have to do is let it come to the surface. See, that's the real you. Are you truly what you pretend to be? Come on. There's so much power locked up within you, and we're going to show you how to release it. Ask yourself this, what does your mind look like? What does your mind look like? Good question, isn't it? I had a man ask me that one day, and I immediately started to think of the brain. But the brain is not the mind any more than a fingernail is. Your brain is an electronic switching station. There was a doctor in San Antonio, Texas, in 1934. He was appalled at the state of healing arts. And he said, the problem starts in the mind, not the body. He said, we're treating the body. We're treating the symptom. We're not treating the cause of the problem. He said, we've got to start treating the mind. And you know, he was right. Well, I studied everything that good doctor put out. And I took it, and I started to direct it towards results in all areas of our life. And I have been traveling all over the world ever since then. But this good doctor said, no one's ever seen the mind, so I'll make a picture of the mind, and there it is. That's right. There's the conscious mind, the subconscious, and the body. But right now, we're just going to focus on the conscious mind. That's the part of you, that's your thinking mind. That's what separates you from all the rest of the animal kingdom. That's your educated mind. That's the part school focuses on. Unfortunately, it's the only part they focus on. That's where your intellect is resident. You see, locked up in your consciousness is your intellect. You have the ability to choose. You have the ability to accept or reject anything that comes your way. You see, these are sensory factors that are hooked up to our conscious mind. They're like little antennae. And they pick up information from outside. Just turn on your TV and get the news. You'll get inundated with negative news. Well, you have the ability to reject that. You don't have to accept the idea there's a bad economy. I think there's a great economy. I create my own economy. Listen, you've got the ability to originate ideas in your mind. You know why? Because that's where your intellect is resident. See all those? That's right. They're your intellectual factors. Perception, the will, imagination, memory, intuition, reason. Unfortunately, most people know very little about those. That's rather sad. Look at them. What do you know about them? Could you stand up and give some kind of a talk on any one of those for more than 2 or 3 minutes? Could you? Most people cannot. Do you know why? We don't learn much about them. We don't learn much about them. Let's take a look at the subconscious mind for a moment. That's the emotional mind. You see, that's the part that cannot reject. It accepts everything we give to it. It must accept it and understand this. Your subconscious mind cannot differentiate between what's real and what's imagined. Now let me take this information that I've given you and put it in a different context for you for a moment. Let's say this is you here today. All right? And there's information flying at you from the radio, from other people, from TV, from newspapers. Now, you've got the ability to reason. Remember, that was one of the intellectual factors. That's right. Reason was one of them. Perception, the will. That's right. Reason gives you the ability to think. That's the part that gives us the ability. Remember, we said we could reject or accept? Well, we can reject all that information. We can just say, get out of here. But we don't do that. Do you know what we do? We leave our mind wide open. We don't even think. We leave our mind wide open. And everything flows right into our subconscious mind. And that's how paradigms are formed. Or the paradigm is not being formed right now. The paradigm is being supported. The paradigm was formed when you were just a little gaffer. You see, this is you as an infant. That's how you arrived on the scene. And all the information that was coming on around you was going right into your subconscious mind. Ba-doom, ba-doom, ba-doom. You had no ability to reject it. That's how your self-image was formed. That was just one idea. That's what you think of you. And if you don't know much about yourself, you might have the wrong idea. You might not see the genius within you. But all the ideas put together, that forms a paradigm. The paradigms control our vibration. The paradigm control the way we walk, the way we talk, the way we meet and greet people. And part of the paradigm is we are programmed to leave our mind wide open and just go by what we hear, see, smell, taste, and touch. We let the outside world control us. We let the sales sheet dictate where our sales is. We let the balance sheet tell us where the profit is. We let what other people say determine what we think of ourselves. We're on the wrong track if that's what we're doing. And that's what 90-some% of the population do. You see, here we are today, much like we were when we were little children. Well, we don't have to be that way. See, we can change all that. Your results are an expression of your level of awareness. When you go through Matrix, your awareness would change, and it'll change like night and day. Look at this for a moment. Your awareness is blocked by layers of virus code. Let's suppose that that little dot in the center of the screen represents your level of awareness. I want you to imagine if it started to grow. Let's imagine it just started to grow to that much. Think how your life would change. Your results are an expression of your level of awareness. You eliminate the darkness when you turn on the light. Let there be light. Let there be a higher degree of awareness. A person doesn't earn $100,000 a year because they want $100 a year. They earn $100,000 a year because they're not aware of how to earn $100,000 a month. If I could show you how to earn $100,000 a month, do you think you'll ever go back to $100 a year? Do you know how you earn money? With ideas. Ideas are intellectual property. My ideas, I have ideas. I execute my ideas. I act on my ideas with a sense of urgency. A sense of urgency is getting a lot done in a short period of time in a calm, confident manner. Let there be light. Let the consciousness grow. Come on. You see? How do I expand my level of awareness? There's your answer. Coming up. Right there. Effective education, combined with professional coaching over a reasonable period of time, will eliminate virus code and expand your level of awareness. Matrix works. Just do it. Man, is Matrix powerful. Imagine spending a week with me. I've studied this for 50 years. I don't study anything else. I could just glance at you and I'll tell you what you're like, because everything that goes on the inside shows on the outside. And if I can do that, you can do that. If I know how to do it, I can teach you how to do it. I can show you how to change your income by expanding your awareness. We say it's a sad thing when a child's afraid of the dark. I'll tell you something much worse is when an adult is afraid of the light. The light is consciousness. We want our mind to expand. Everything we're seeking is seeking us. And the only thing we're lacking is awareness. Think of this. You're a spiritual being living in a physical body. And you have been gifted with an intellect. And it's how you use those higher faculties that's going to dictate your emotional state. You will learn so much about this. I'll give you a quick look. There you are, your spiritual self. There's the intellectual self. And there's the physical. You are a triune being. You live simultaneously on 3 planes of understanding. Now, when you activate your intellect, everything starts to happen in a big way. Because you start to tap into the spiritual side of your personality. That's where thoughts are. That's where all things originate. And they turn into ideas, and the ideas move into physical form. It's like magic. And you know something? You can do that. You can. Anybody can do it. And I'm going to show you how to do it. All you have to do is make a decision. That's all you have to do. Make a decision. Do you know that Napoleon Hill did research with 25,000 men and women? And he said decision was right at the top of the list of the successful people. People that make decisions fast and they change them slow, if and when they change them at all. What do we want to decide? Decide on Matrix. Matrix is a resourceful environment where people from around the world collaborate, mastermind, and explore opportunities while developing financial independence by establishing multiple sources of income. If you really want to change your life, talk to us about Matrix. Find out how Matrix can change your life. Because I'll tell you something, I'll show you how to turn your annual income into a monthly income. Now, if that sounds like an exaggerated statement, come and find out, because I can do it. I've been doing this for 45 years. I've been studying it for going on 52. I work all over the world. I just came back from Shanghai. We have opened up China. There isn't a place in the world that our company is not working. And we want to work with you. I personally, with my team, will spend an entire week with you at Matrix. How do you find out about it? There you go, right there. Just go to BobProctorMatrix.com. Bob Proctor Matrix, that's with a double X.com /like it. Like it. BobProctorMatrix.com. Like it. Now, it's so basic and so simple and yet so misunderstood. That might be I like it. I wonder if Becca's on the line. You on the line, Becca? Is Becca there?
I'm here, Bob.
Is it like it or I like it?
It's BobProctorMatrix.com /like it.
That's it. There you go. Now, if you want to find out how you can spend a week with me and my team and take and build an idea and show you how to take it to market and turn it into a multi-million-dollar operation, it's not an exaggeration. I've been doing it for a long time. Just go to Matrix, Bob Proctor Matrix, that's with a double X.com /like it, and we'll sit down and talk to you on a personal level. I want to thank you for taking a look at this. And I guarantee you, when you come to Matrix, you're going to thank me. Thank you very much.